Welcome, and please be seated. Welcome to the 157th commencement of Bates College. Whether you are joining us in person on our historic quad or by live stream across the country and around the world, we are delighted to have you with us on this joyous occasion. This is a moment when we gather as a community to celebrate the accomplishments and aspirations of the great class of 2023. And these accomplishments and aspirations are too many to number, too vast in scope to name. But it is worth noting that this class had only one normal semester at Bates before a global pandemic upended the world and their college experience. For these graduating seniors, there ensued a journey of constant change and adaptation in every aspect of their lives until the dawning of this wonderful, brilliantly normal senior year. So let's take a moment to send up a cheer of appreciation for the determination and flexibility of these graduating seniors. Seniors, now I'm looking at you. Could you join me in offering our appreciation for all your wonderfully supportive families, friends, and loved ones here or spread across the globe, and for the faculty and staff who have been behind you, supporting and encouraging you at every point along your path this day. Thank you. Members of the class of 2023, you are a remarkably accomplished group. 439 of you will march across the stage this morning, representing 39 states and the District of Columbia, and 38 countries. 11% of you are the first in your family to graduate from college. You have knit this campus and community together over the past 4 years through your engagement and leadership as RCs and JAs, club presidents, members of the student government, debaters, and team captains in athletics. You've inspired us with your gifts of music, performance, art making, research, thesis writing, and endless intellectual curiosity. You have served as OIE, Multifaith, Admission, and Purposeful Work Fellows, as eco-reps and Bonner leaders, and so much more. 94 of you are double majors, 26 of you received departmental honors for a year-long thesis, and 3 of you received honors in 2 disciplines. 44% of you have studied abroad, and 47% of you have participated in a varsity sport while at Bates, so many of you winning all NESCAC and all American honors. 5 of you have won Fulbright fellowships, and 2 of you have won Watson fellowships. And all of this you have achieved while also giving back, especially here in Lewiston, where your energy and commitment helped schools and nonprofit organizations bounce back from COVID, and your research contributed valuable knowledge and policy solutions to a range of local initiatives. Along the way, I know you have learned things in your classes, from your professors, from cataclysmic world events, and from one another. And in a few minutes, you will walk across this stage and keep on walking. As you know, this is also my last year at Bates, and everyone I run into has the same question. What's next for you? At first, I kind of got stressed and a little irritated that everyone was asking me this. I'm like, wait a second. I've been working 24/7, 365, trying to run a college in challenging and divisive times with COVID thrown in on top. Don't I get to just do nothing for like one summer, maybe? Besides, when am I supposed to have had time to make a plan for these waning years? I'm thinking some of you seniors may be feeling the same way, except maybe for the waning years part. Hey, I've just made it through college during COVID. I've played a varsity sport all the way through, except of course when the season was canceled, which was a whole different set of problems. I learned Shakespearean English to be in Much Ado About Nothing, where I had to make it sound like these weird words were a normal way to fight and flirt and fall in love. I've been on student government, I've driven the ambulance for EMS, I've worked hundreds of hours in the Lewiston Auburn communities, and I have fried myself writing my senior thesis, or maybe two. And I'm supposed to have my life all figured out? The answer to this question is emphatically no. You are not supposed to have your life all figured out. The impressive lives and careers of the adults you admire emerge only in retrospect, when you look back over time. Whoever your heroes are, Barack Obama, Tina Fey, Raj Chetty, your own parents, these amazing Honorands with whom you will have the privilege of sharing the stage this morning, they all somehow got from 20 to 30 to 40 to wherever they are now. And whatever the twists and turns of their chosen paths, the false starts, the lucky breaks, the chance encounters that changed the directions of their lives, they by definition got from somewhere unformed to somewhere that has pattern and purpose, at least for them, and sometimes for the world. The problem with living your own life, however, is that you have to live it moving forward. You don't know and can't know what it looks like from the front end. It has no shape. Your path is not carved out. As Joseph Campbell, scholar of comparative religion and myth, famously quipped, if the path before you is clear, you're probably on someone else's. This is why the question, what's next for you, should not stress us out. It is exactly the question people should be asking you, and me for that matter. We've all heard the saying by Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your only job is to figure out not what am I going to do with my life, but rather what is a right next step for me. Not the right next step, a right next step. It is up to you to figure this out by your own lights. Maybe you start with where you want to live and then sort out what you'll do. Maybe what's most important to you is who you want to live with. A job can be secondary. Maybe you want to go straight on to more school because you're on fire about a subject or a career and you don't want to waste a minute. Or maybe you want to go somewhere you've never been or do something you've never done before because this is the freest moment you've ever had and maybe ever will in your life. The challenge as you face the blank canvas of your 20s is to resist the temptation to panic and grab for premature clarity or a narrative that sounds impressive to the what's next crowd, but really isn't you. As soon-to-be certified denizens of the liberal arts, you know by now that hard problems do not admit of easy answers, and the important things in life take time. The tricky part, as you build your own life, is to find the confidence to tolerate ambiguity in the meantime. But here's the beauty of this approach. If you're willing to take your life a step at a time, each step on your journey is a step you will learn from. You'll learn practical skills, like how to drag yourself out of bed in the morning and get suited up for work, or how to eat healthy meals when you can't just swipe into Commons. You'll also learn more existential lessons, like how to deal with difficult housemates or colleagues, how to cope with not being valued in a space or not seen at all. You may learn as well that whatever you're doing at any given moment is the farthest thing from what you want to do with your life. And the great news is, in the decade of your 20s, there is plenty of time for do-overs and reinvention. As long as you approach your life choices with self-awareness, diligence, and discernment, you will carve out a path, and it will be one that is authentically yours, not because of the specific choices you make along the way, but because of the way you are making the choices and processing the experiences. The poet E.E. Cummings once said, "It takes courage to grow up and become who you really are." I am learning yet again, a full 40 years after I walked across the stage at a different NESCAC college, that growing up and facing bravely into your choices is a lifelong endeavor. As for the what's next question, I find that "I've got a few irons in the fire" is sufficiently vague to deter the overeager questioner. Or you can pull out your Joseph Campbell and sound wise beyond your years. And once you've actually graduated and taken that first step into your new life, it will be a while before the what's next question comes around your way again. Seniors, you will very soon be granted a document certifying that you have met all the requirements of a Bates degree. This is a huge accomplishment, and we are beyond proud of you and full of joyful anticipation of all that you will contribute over lifetimes of meaning, purpose, commitment, and connection. Friends, please join me in congratulating the amazing class of 2023. While we gather to celebrate the achievement of the members of the class of 2023, we also mark the Memorial Day holiday. In honor of the many who have served and sacrificed so much, we express gratitude. It is now my pleasure to welcome the senior speaker for the class of 2023, Rishi Madnani.
Class of 2023, how we feeling? How we feeling? President Spencer, thank you for the introduction. It's an honor to be the senior speaker at your final Bates Commencement. And did you guys print her a degree too, or did you guys print her? If not, we can rip mine in half and share. Yeah. As we at Bates College all know, people refer to our community as a bubble. As a proud biochemistry major, let me challenge you on that. I say we call it an in vitro cell culture. Now, if you watched last year's commencement, I know what you're thinking. We don't need an off-brand Nero Shah to stand up here and lecture us about science. But first, let me explain. In vitro cell cultures are a method of growing cells in a controlled and monitored environment to yield insights that would not have been possible in any other experimental schema. These systems, while relatively insular and not like the real world, have played a pivotal role in some of the most profound discoveries in biomedical history. So when my nani, or grandmother, asked me, "Beta, ye choti college mein kyun padhte ho?" Hindi for "why do you go to such a tiny school?" I tell her, "Nani, do you even know how in vitro models work?" Or at least I say that in my head. As with any great commencement speech, I hope to leave you with 3 messages today. Sequence your genome, make molecules, and maintain intercellular connections. Don't worry, I'll break all that down. I promise. Let's start from the beginning, fall 2019. As incoming stem cells, each of us brought a unique genetic and molecular profile to the table. Our similarities and our differences brought us together to form an impressively cohesive socio-cellular infrastructure. To assist in our development, certain growth factors were added along the way, whether they were the intellectual stimulation of anthropology class, the timeless enjoyment of a cappella, or the vehement sense of purpose instilled in us through student government. These molecules activated signaling pathways which have helped us differentiate into the specialized cells that we are today. To make all of these reactions possible within 4 years, our faculty and staff served as enzymes, biological catalysts without which life would never be possible. Admittedly, we also ingested a few molecules that aren't exactly the best for growing cells, but I'd be lying if I said we didn't create incredible memories along the way. As with any community, there have been difficulties in creating a truly equitable and representative environment. But in the face of alienation and inequity, members of the class of 2023 have taken initiative to change the culture. Upon my arrival to Bates in 2019, the lack of a united South Asian community on campus cultivated in me a sense of cultural isolation which I had never felt before. After coming back from parties, I would often lay in my bed in Adams and listen to Indian music, transporting myself to a dimension replete with butter chicken, synchronized dance numbers, and my favorite Bollywood actresses. Even as cells differentiate and take on specialized roles, the sequence of the DNA in their nucleus remains unchanged. They never forget where they came from, and neither should we. To the science professors giving me the side eye right now, yes, I know genetic mutations exist, but stick with me for the metaphor. Don't be afraid to look deep at your cultural DNA and develop a relationship with your identity. Staying grounded and true to ourselves will be incredibly important as we explore the instability of new worlds. What most people don't know is that I came incredibly close to submitting a transfer application that same year. At a larger school with a larger South Asian population, I could easily find community and join a well-established cultural organization. But before I sent in the application, I asked myself one question. What about the brown kids that came to Bates after me? I knew then that I had to stay, and I'm so happy to be standing here today. With the support and leadership of many of my amazing peers, I was able to create the South Asian Student Association, which has now grown into an integral community on campus. Though all of us at Bates are part of the same cell culture, the value of distinct cultural enclaves within that community cannot be understated. Sometimes surrounding yourself with cells that look, think, and feel like you brings a unique and necessary kind of joy. Plus, whenever we have events, the rest of the school is more than happy to partake. Believe it or not, I had all the guys who live on Vale Street do a Bollywood dance at my mock wedding a few weeks ago. That's my story, but I'm only one small cell in this beautiful and intricate system. Each of my classmates has, in their own way, made an impact on the in vitro cell culture that we call home. We've broken academic and athletic records, produced consequential and thought-provoking pieces of art, made leading efforts in sustainability, and so much more. Members of our class also played a critical role in the development of a race, power, privilege, and colonialism curriculum requirement, which was approved just last month by the faculty. As one of the first colleges in the nation to have such a requirement, our cell culture is constantly pushing the envelope and leading by example. There are not many labs in which cultured cells get to influence the behavior of the experimenter watching over them, but members of our class have worked incessantly to demand change from the administration and create a more inclusive Bates for all of its students. And so, my next message to the class of 2023 is this. If a certain gene is not expressed in the population, produce and secrete a signaling molecule which will travel throughout the community to induce its expression in surrounding cells. Okay, now that my Indian parents are satisfied, what I mean to say is do not be afraid to espouse ideas and perspectives which you believe would make your community a better place, even if it means questioning authority and working against the status quo. If you believe your contribution to be worthy, have faith that other members of your community will see its value and support you in your efforts. Now, in writing this speech, I hope to avoid the recent commencement cliche of discussing COVID-19. But in the context of cells, I couldn't resist. If you've worked with cell culture, you know that once your cells get infected, it's often difficult to control the infection and salvage the experiment. Along with devastating losses of loved ones around the world, the damage that COVID brought to social, academic, and extracurricular life at Bates was clear. Imagine a population of neurons in vitro, with axons overlapping to form dense and beautiful neuronal networks capable of the rapid electrochemical transmission of information. With the isolation and separation of COVID, inevitably came the weakening and severance of these intercellular relationships, a true communal brain fog. You guys get it? Neurons, brain fog, COVID, brain fog. Anyways. With the important antibodies of resilience, creativity, and love, we built back. And if we've learned anything from the experience, it's to make a conscious effort to maintain contact with the cells important to us. Graduates, for my final message, I urge you, do not take your friends for granted. We've all seen friendships in commons go from being attached at the hip to conspicuously meaningless, hey, how are you? So as we venture out into new worlds, just remember one thing. I'm generally free from 6 to 8 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. No, but seriously, give your friends a call every now and then. I promise you it'll go a long way. Now, in the last few weeks, even those who spent the last year convincing themselves they were ready to graduate have begun to shed tears. Trust me, I saw them this morning at 5 a.m. on Mount David. But what if I told you this wasn't the end? Here, my friends, lies the utility of my metaphor. Bubbles pop, but the insights that we yield from an in vitro cell culture do not perish or fade away with the dissolution of the culture itself. Rather, they are taken and applied on a larger scale. In fact, most of the drugs and therapies that we use today were first demonstrated to alter cellular behavior in vitro before entering clinical trials in humans. While we may not have set the foundation for a revolutionary pharmaceutical compound, our trials and tribulations in this small cell culture at Bates have allowed us all to make a number of discoveries about ourselves and our ability to make a difference in our communities. Now it's time to think bigger and show people that the Bates marketing team wasn't lying about the power of the liberal arts education. We can and will change the world. To all the cells in this wonderful in vitro culture, it's been an honor to laugh, cry, learn, and grow with you. In the words of Drake, the greatest artist of our generation, may your neighbors respect you, trouble neglect you, angels protect you, and heaven accept you. Thank you and congratulations to the class of 2023. We made it.
Thank you, Rishi. We are joined today by 4 extraordinary individuals with whom our graduates, all of you in the class of 2023, will share the distinction of a Bates degree. It is now my privilege to confer the honorary degrees for the 157th commencement of Bates College. I invite Malcolm Hill, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of the Faculty, to join me for the presentation of the Honorands.
President Spencer, I present Michael Monroe Lewis. Let us be clear from the start about one thing. Our first honorand today was an art history major, not a business or economics major, though he is perhaps best known for the books he has written about the world of high finance. Not a math major, though he has written about how statistics can win baseball games. Instead, he studied art history and wrote a senior thesis on the Italian sculptor Donatello. In his telling, and perhaps to the disbelief of our graduates today, he says he basically wanted to become a professional thesis writer. He says the point is that the act of thesis writing itself was a revelation. It started him on his path as a best-selling author of brilliant works of nonfiction. But we perceive a resonance in his subject. Donatello, a master sculptor, that we posit must surely have been just as influential. For our guest, the project with which he begins, his raw material, his marble and stone, is an issue or institution or event that matters in the current moment. Chipping away, digging deeper, he finds the beating heart of the matter in the shape of a person who becomes his protagonist, the character who serves as the vehicle for drawing the reader into the story and revealing the contours and complexities of massive systems like Major League Baseball, professional football, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the bond and real estate derivative markets behind the 2008 financial crash. Think Billy Beane in Moneyball, Michael Orr in The Blind Side, Charity Dean in The Premonition, Steve Eisman in The Big Short. He sees the faces in the stone and wields words like a chisel, bringing unknown, though real, characters vividly to life for our eager consumption, entertainment, and edification. His writing, in short, helps us better understand the world in which we live and think more deeply about how we are moving through it. The New Yorker's David Remnick says he has an uncanny sense of story, and his longtime editor characterizes him as the kid who has stuck his thumb in the pie, come out with a plum, and wants to tell you about it. His first book was Liar's Poker, a story of 1980s Wall Street, based in part on an early stint working at Salomon Brothers. 15 others have followed, many of them bestsellers and award winners. 3 of them turned into major Hollywood movies. And in yet another example of his 6th sense for the enticing scent of a good story, when the news broke in November of 2022 that cryptocurrency exchange FTX had collapsed, it soon became known that our guest had been interviewing FTX founder and CEO Sam Bankman-Fried for months. This seems only further proof of what has been called his preternatural ability to spot impending drama. We eagerly await his take on that fascinating story. I present Michael Monroe Lewis for the degree Doctor of Letters.
Perceptive, prescient, and persevering. You are an artist with words, a sculptor of tales, and a storyteller of our times, for all time. Therefore, by the authority vested in me, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Letters with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining.
President Spencer, I present Julieanna L. Richardson. The Black intellectual Alain Locke is known as the father of the Harlem Renaissance, the period spanning the end of World War I through the mid-1930s that saw a flourishing of intellectual and cultural activity among Black Americans. Locke was committed to helping Black people give voice and shape to their experiences, both individual and shared. In a line that might resonate with our next honorand, he wrote, "Nothing is more galvanizing than the sense of a cultural past." Our next honorand frames a similar idea, the one that drives her immense contribution to the preservation of Black experiences in America. In this way, she says, we want to reawaken memories, to reconstruct the history of a people who didn't have the time to capture it themselves. Her aim is preserving history, and her means and method is the History Makers, the nation's largest archive of video oral histories of African Americans. She has dedicated her life to the collection of these stories, which will live on forever as part of the permanent collection at the Library of Congress. This idea first took root during her undergraduate years at Brandeis. It was during this time that she went to the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in New York to learn more about the Harlem Renaissance. And it was there that things first clicked. Black people had contributed mightily to American life and culture, and she didn't know enough about this history, nor did most people. She would follow Brandeis with law school at Harvard and then a career in corporate law and cable television. She founded Shop Chicago, a regional home shopping network, and a television production company, SCTN Teleproductions. In every chapter of her life, she identified needs and moved confidently forward to answer them herself. This was also the case in the late 90s, when she asked herself what legacy she would leave and remembered the lessons revealed at the Schomburg Center. Not enough people knew the contributions of Black Americans. She could change this. And so she created the History Makers, compiling video records of African Americans telling their stories. Today, some 3,500 of those stories have been collected. Among those interviewed are people you know, like Hank Aaron, Maya Angelou, Al Sharpton, and people whose names most of us do not know, but whose stories are no less compelling. There is even a video of a 39-year-old Barack Obama, an Illinois state senator in 2001, the entry for which says his favorite quote is, "I'm tired." Little did he know. Her legacy is immense. It is the stories that she has saved from being lost to time. It is the repository of information and understanding that she has built for those who will follow her. As Ford Foundation President Darren Walker has said, both she and her work are national treasures. I present Julieanna L. Richardson for the degree Doctor of Humane Letters.
Creator, collector, and curator. Heeding a call issued by your own heart and mind, you have identified a need and given people a voice and a history. ensuring their stories will be told for generations to come. Therefore, by the authority vested in me, I confer on you the degree Doctor of Humane Letters with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining.
President Spencer, I present Shankar Vedantam. There is an undeniable paradox at the center of our next Honorand's life's work. He is the brain behind Hidden Brain, a newspaper column that turned book into radio feature turned podcast, and now downloaded 2 to 3 million times per week, and dedicated to exploring the unconscious patterns that drive human behavior and questions that lie at the heart of our complex and changing world. To effectively and affectingly explore these unconscious hidden patterns in the brain, one must very consciously observe the world around them, then process what they see, synthesize meaning, and communicate findings. In other words, this skilled investigator of the unconscious must wield the precision tools of the liberal arts. Our guest today is a master of this craft. Trained in electrical engineering and journalism, he was intrigued by how scientific ideas were communicated and fascinated most of all by issues related to the brain and human behavior. For 10 years, he was a reporter and columnist at the Washington Post. Many of us came to know him when the Hidden Brain series began to run as a weekly feature on NPR's Morning Edition, where in 5-minute segments, he and the host would discuss topics ranging from the formation and impact of bias to how persuasion works to whether or not ignorance is truly bliss. The longevity and popularity of Hidden Brain may be credited to the fact that our guest brings not only his powerful mind, but his warm and open heart to his work. When he interviews experts about their research, he goes beyond merely posing questions to joining them in joyful exploration of their areas of expertise. In so doing, he becomes a voice for the lay audience of the highest order, asking the questions that drive straight to the heart of the matter and rendering complex ideas accessible to all. He makes learning about human behavior downright fun and wholly human. A few months ago, he gave a TED Talk titled, "You Don't Actually Know What Your Future Self Wants." There he described another paradox of the human experience. When we look backwards, we can see enormous changes in who we have become. But when we look forward, we tend to imagine that we're going to be the same people in the future. This, he says, is the illusion of continuity. For our graduates today, this notion may be slightly destabilizing, but our guest would likely remind us that the impossibility of understanding our future selves is simply a part of the design. At a cellular level, we are changing all the time. Each of us is constantly becoming a new person. The way to build a life in the midst of this constant change, he suggests, is actually quite simple. Stay curious, practice humility, and be brave. I present Shankar Vedantam for the degree Doctor of Letters.
With compassion and curiosity, clarity and conviction, and with conscientious exploration of the unconscious, you have given us the gift of ourselves in all of our complexities and contradictions. Therefore, by the authority vested in me, I confer on you the degree Doctor of Letters with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining.
President Spencer, I present Joseph Drew Lanham. When our next guest raises his binoculars, he sees something most of us do not. Not just the owl on the high branch, not just the sparrow in the sky, he sees joy. And joy, he says, is the justice we give ourselves. It is ours to seek, to find, to define, to create. Joy is a gift. It is all around us. It is a human right. Our final honorand is a scientist and a poet, Alumni Distinguished Professor of Wildlife Ecology at Clemson University, an expert on birds and an artist with words, dedicated to the proposition that the natural world we all inhabit is meant to be experienced fully and joyfully by all people, despite the barriers that too often prevent this. His training is in zoology and forest resources. His philosophy is conservation through inclusion, opening up the world to everyone and enlisting them in the project of experiencing and saving what is important or rare or endangered. As he does so, he is clear about what might keep some from engaging in this way: the forcible seizure of land from indigenous people, the removal of Africans from their own land to work in another as slaves, denial of the right of ownership, denial of selfhood. He writes beautifully and bracingly about the undeniable connections between humankind and the land on which we dwell. We are all part and parcel of nature, parakeets and people alike, he says. We all require the same clean air and water, safe places to land, roost, and love whomever we choose. He acknowledges that for some, like him, a close relationship with nature is not without complications. He imagines what it meant for enslaved Black Americans to see birds flying overhead while they worked fields for others, caged and tethered and imagining their own flights towards freedom. And in his essay, 9 Rules for the Black Bird Watcher, he describes what it means for him and others in the present moment to wander alone in nature, constrained, even in the wilderness, by the prejudices of others who might too readily misinterpret his very presence. Rule number 3 is, don't burden a hoodie, ever. Awarding him a 2022 Genius Grant for his work, the MacArthur Foundation wrote that he is doing no less than creating a new model of conservation that combines conservation science with personal, historical, and cultural narratives of nature. He frames this model as pathfinding through the improbable without ending up at the inevitable. He reminds us that foraging and following new paths matters, that birds matter, science matters, and in all of this, joy matters. I present Joseph Drew Lanham for the degree Doctor of Science.
The natural world reveals itself to you in stories, and you in turn help us see it through your eyes, walk it in the path you've cut, and live in it with the consciousness of joy and justice, joy as justice. Therefore, by the authority vested in me, I confer on you the degree Doctor of Science with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining.
Wow. Speechless, but not a good time for that, is it? Thank you to all of you, to our honored, my fellow honorands this morning. I woke with you on my mind this morning, Bates. I really did. You woke me up early. And it was just something about you. And I want to thank you for that. I'm grateful to be here today. Bates College Class of 2023. Give yourselves a round of applause for that. I want you to know that I'm grateful that you would honor me, my family, and a long line of ancestors who worked, who toiled for hundreds of years, by force and not choice for this moment. Their bitter sacrifice leads me to this sweetness. A bird-loving black kid with maternal roots and shoots in a little-known and seldom-seen place called 96, South Carolina, a place you have likely never heard of, but that I assure you is as important as the ground we gather on now. And so I'm going to take a few minutes to go full circle, Bates, 360 degrees around, from beginning to end, round and around, back again, from me to you, and all that we connect to. North to south, east to west, every azimuth degreed in between, person to person, stranger to friend. In these few minutes, I hope that I'm able to take you here, Bates College, Lewiston, Maine, back home to South Carolina, Piedmont with me, back to a bit of your own beginning. Full circle, but no geometry test required, I promise. Let's all be thankful to simply be in this place, first and foremost, among kindred spirits as fellow beings, born perhaps of different soil and water underneath a common and unifying sky. Southern Piedmont clay to northeastern rocky shore. Let us in these moments together finally intention peace, healing. Look skyward and see the birds flying free over us and be inspired. And I want to name everyone that I hear singing right now. Yes, a commencement is a beginning, a new start. It's a fresh opportunity. You've heard all of that. You know that you've endured much in these past few years, but here you are, triumphant in spite of, perhaps because of, the trials. From where you were to where you are now, parents perhaps dropping you off, now back to pick you up, and maybe a few of them eager to send you on again. Perhaps friends all along the way seeing you down at times, offering assistance on some assignment, some relationship, offering assistance to get you through a moment of life, on to the next. We can't take one breath for granted, can we? And you reciprocated, seeing the same struggles and strifes, offering your hand to someone you care about or perhaps don't even know. That's full circle, y'all. And so today I hope that as we gather together here in celebration of individual achievement and a cohort's overcoming of so much challenge, that we will always, always commit to being students. That understanding that we will always be someone else's teacher, consciously or unconsciously, by action more than word, that we will always be learners in life's exchange, giving and receiving over and over again. This is true recycling, that we recognize today that we are world citizens tied tightly together. I'd like to talk about this cycle, this recycling, this circle, this full circling, that there is a cycle of recognition, of reconciliation, and in some way, yes, reparation in our journeys here to this day and beyond it. Now, recognizing that first we share bitter past histories, we have to understand that what's been done wrong should not be doubled down on by denial, to repeat the sins again and again. That's called ignorance. That's the opposite of what you've been here to achieve. And so I know that what you will promote past this day is actually called education. Now, understand that we don't accomplish education by banning books or canceling identities, but by opening our minds and hearts. We don't say it happened in the past and get over it. We acknowledge the truth to go forward. That is what I call critical fact theory. Let's recognize that learning has been and always will be our strongest leverage to make bad good and then good better. You see, when I cease to learn, that means my ashes will be in the wind. And so I hope that beyond the class schedules that you will soon leave behind, the exams that you all aced, the papers due all turned in on time, and tuition and loans paid, that enlightenment will be your lifelong pursuit. You came here to learn how to learn. There is no ending in that. That's really what these degrees and letters you're about to be awarded are all about. And so let's reconcile that with all that's bad. We actually have to put all of these degrees together to make things better. And that possibility, yes, is hope, and joy is certainly a destination. But we do have to address war and hate and disparities among us that seem these insurmountable walls to breach. And so after all that you've been through, all that you've done, all of your accomplishments, the question still hangs out there. How do we bring light to dark, sweet to our current bitter? And so I wonder if you can feel the circle that is actually being built, that you are building, because each of you are arcs in that construction, Bates College. From where you began to this moment, you need to feel yourselves a part of something greater. And so I'll go back to 96 for a minute, this faraway place, this little known and seldom seen locale where one of your own is our own. Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, fellow South Carolinian, my mama's neighbor, in little old 96 South Carolina, a mile up the road, and a man among Bates' most esteemed alumni, class of 1920, y'all, by the way. It's 103 years ago. Dr. Mays said that his education here made it possible for me to emancipate myself, to accept with dignity my own worth as a free person. So the question that hangs out there then is, what does that freedom look like? Now, for me, it's all about wildness. Not wilding out, but wildness. It's about finding these spaces, unencumbered, untethered, where I can watch and not be watched to prosecutorial effect. But I'll ask that we think about freedom as an inalienable and emergent force, a seed inside each one of us waiting to burst forth and to grow. You see, freedom is that seed planted to form root and shoot grown into a mighty oak. Freedom is that head and heart space that turns us loose to roam the hinterlands of our own imaginations. Freedom is head to heart to hand and back again. That is full circle, Bates. It is a place where discovery lurks around the hairpin turns on life's path. Freedom is curiosity's valve stuck on full flow. Now, freedom isn't just reading the aforementioned banned books. Freedom is reading a library full of them and then making sure those who would ban them get banned by vote from banning ever again. Freedom and freedom is writing the book that others would ban if they could but can't. Freedom is building the library where there is none. Freedom is leaving me alone to be who I am, dress how I want, control my body's being without outside interference. Freedom is also about being shoulder to shoulder, though, together with me to be more than we can be alone or differences making us stronger in that bond. Dr. Mays knew this. It's why he came from 96, South Carolina, in one of the most racist counties in the state, to emancipate himself. And emancipation is simply freedom doubled down and means the gate is open, the door blocked ajar, maybe the door even removed from its hinges so that we can go where our soul's calling desires. And so, Bates, we must claim with our own voices this emancipation, not anything established on paper, but by our very existences. Dr. Mays' statement, revisit that for a minute, to accept with dignity my own worth. This is critical. This is being able to look full on in the mirror without hesitation and love who's looking back at you. Self-worth is that value we not only see, but feel implicitly because we are who we are, regardless of hate, regardless of policies to promote that hate, and practices at the highest levels to promulgate it institutionally. There is no dollar value on your dignity, so don't sell out, y'all. Dr. Mays' reflection is integral in the Bates College mission. And you all have read that, something about being dedicated to the emancipating potential of the liberal arts. Amor ac studio, we engage the transformative power of our differences. Catch that. The transformative power of our differences, cultivating intellectual discovery and informed civic action. Y'all didn't know y'all got a degree in activism, did you? But you did. Preparing leaders sustained by love of learning and a commitment to responsible stewardship of the wider world. That sounds full circle to me. That you've come to this place to be more than you were, but to join who you are. This mission is built not just on words, but on intent to bring individual into better, so then that your community and nation and world can be better. So, when I woke this morning, I thought just for a moment about a world without Dr. Benjamin E. Mays and what that would have meant to my mother and her upbringing and being able to pursue an education as she did, away from home, but south. I want you to imagine a world without Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, and then you would likely have to have a world where I am not standing here now, that perhaps a man named Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., did not catch on to the essential precepts of nonviolent civil action. Would you be here? A man that has come before me I never knew, but close to me as family, speaks through me in this moment. 96 Creek to Androscoggin River, my Piedmont clay to your rocky shore. Full circle, Bates. I hope you're beginning to feel that with me. And so today, graduates, family, friends, and all in attendance under this beautiful blue Maine May sky, I want you to repeat loudly and proudly after me. My mission, our mission, is to be better, to do better, to bring my being, my community, the environment, humanity, and this world to better than it has been, to be an arc in the bigger circle. For without me, the circle cannot be. And so here you are, you've made a vow. You've made a vow to be connected to each other, Bates College. This connection is no coincidence. That I am here before you 103 years later from a little known and seldom seen place called 96, South Carolina, sharing, as our friend indicated, the same molecules, the same heart space. I'm grateful for this circle being opened and closed here today, made stronger and larger in our meeting. It is my hope that our circles will forever be unbroken. And so congratulations to you on this day, Bates College class of 2023. Go forth, be better, do better. Circle up. Thank you.
The baccalaureate degrees for the class of 2023 will now be conferred. We request that friends and families withhold applause until the entire list of graduating seniors has been called and until the senior class marshals have directed all members of the class to move the tassel from right to left, thereby signifying the confirmation of the degrees.
Will the class please stand? President Spencer, I have the honor to present these candidates before you and those others whose names appear in the program. They have been recommended by the faculty as having completed all appropriate academic requirements for the degree Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science, and they present themselves to you for the confirmation of their degrees.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer on you the degree Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. You may be seated.
I will read the names in alphabetical order. Will the members of the class of 2023 please come forward to receive their diplomas? Peter Timothy Ackley. Spencer Luring Adams. Connor Duran Ahern. Mir Shadman Alam. Gabrielle Emma Alpert. Gabriel James Alvarez. William Stephen Anastas. Elizabeth Grace Anise. Evan Michael Antonakis. Adelaide Armand Laguerre. Chloe Gabrielle Ahrens. Tyler Meyer Attal. Joanna Colette Atwater. Ava Esther Axelrod. Reza Badi. Patricia Catlett Ballard. Pico Banerjee. Kieran James Bardong. Salamata Bari. Sadie Marie Basila. Brennan Bates. Wyatt Randall Bates. Sylvia Ewen Bati. Stephen Keyshawn Baxter. Chloe Catherine Baylor. Margaret Bailey. Jenna Marie Behrens. Patrick Joseph Bergen. Mia Nicole Bernstein. Nathaniel Newhall Berry. Grace Pat Biddle. Julia Catherine Bisson. Alice Blackwood. Emma Elizabeth Blakesley. Ivan Blaylock II. Grace Curry Blunt. Eli Besh Dining. Kaylee Lynn Bossy. Kamarebe Catherine Boswell. Eloise Klein Baca. Aiden Jared Braithwaite. Hannah Lou Braslow. Gabriella Lorena Brewer. Kayla Imani Bridgman. Henry Thomas Briggs. Madison Ann Broda. Josie Janelle Brohard. Josie Janelle Brohard. Oh, twice. Eliza Avery Brower. William Wilder Brown. Mason Bunker. Michael Chestnut Burden. Carly Sophia Burdarf. Sarah Ann Bucell. David Byrne. Liam Connor Byrne. Caroline Tsai Yue. Jose Melvin Leal Caella. Jasmine Elise Candelaria. John Henry Waugh Cantor. Mary Catherine Caperton. Nina Fulton Carter. Maris Lynn Carty. Maya Rose Castablanco. Sarah Chang. David Suyin Chen. Jasmine Chen. Caroline Chep Kemboy. Brady Chilson. Yuna Choi. Kushi Chaudhry. Rabi Irfang Chugtai. Jackson Paul Chung. Elise Eleanor Cleesby. Lucas Adam Clement. Joanna Gabrielle Cloutier. Alice Miller Cockerum. Gabrielle Robert Coffey. Benjamin Troop Reynolds Cohen. Fiona Marie Cohen. Martha Edith Coleman. Laura Helen Colgan. Hannah Grace Conkin. Liam Eric Conklin. Liam. Molly Magdalena Connors. Catherine Cecilia Conroy. Annie Kayla Carpenter Conway. Stephanie Lauren Costa. James Robert Costello. Paige Elizabeth Cote. Mohammed Kulabali. Eleanor Ruby Grace Kramer. William Robert Crate II. Elizabeth Chase Crawford. Najee Salvador Crockett. Lily Claire Daddario. Bobby Dahl. Liam Courtney Daly Smith. Spencer Reese Danziger. Alexandra D'Aquino. Caroline Lanning Davis. Cameron Leo Davis Kania. Adrian Miguel DeCola. Samuel Whiting Delamere. Hazel May Delahy. Olivia Margaret Demarath. Tristan Reinhardt Depew. Max David Devon. Oliver Reed Barrett Dewey. Mohammed Diawara. Emily Maria Diaz. Emily Sophia DeBartolo. Cordelia Nelson Dotson. James William Dunn. Peter Brooks Dunbar. Olivia Ann Eaton. Cole Paget Errett. Emma Marie Eide. Maxwell Rader Elsasser. Abby Endy. Ivy Berg Epstein. Carrie Michelle Ettinger. Christopher James Houston. Samuel Garvin Fossen. Andrew Cole Fallon. William Jian Fong. Sophia Wersch Farnham. Benjamin Alt Fasciano. Kristen Naya Fields. Allison Sarah Fishman. Brendan Lawrence Fitzgerald. Sophia Sigrid Fitzgerald. Garrett James Fitzsimons. Eric Robert Fleischman. Liam James Foley. Nicholas Ryder Forrester. Ariel Ifosi Tiki Friedman. Sarah Anushka Friedman. Brianna Marie Gadaletta. Jeffrey Z. Gao. Aiden Lowell Gatter. Jenna Grace Genthner. Aya Ghazi. Edmund Ariston Jiang. Abigail Meade Gibbons. Austin Bernard Gilbride. Owen Thomas Glover. Maya Joy Golden. Julia Lindsay Goldstein. Salia Gamna Salisu. Nina Gonzalez. Christopher Niels Gooding. Caroline Margaret Grady. Megan Elizabeth Graff. Maria Angelica Gray. Lucy Diana Green. Nora Veer Anderson Green. Allison Elizabeth Gruhl. Robert Christopher Griffin. Jessica Muriel Gross. Eli Benjamin Grossman. Ernst Miles Gurrier. Eli Finn Gunderson. Adrian Roman Hadley. Victoria Elizabeth Hajiji. Matthew Brian Hames. Sophia Ham. Tyler James Hamilton. Caitlin Elizabeth Hanley. Abraham Dotson Harris. Francis Jelks Hart. Sultan Hashmi. Imtithal Muhammad Hassan. Rowan Loretta Hassman. Sophia Ruth Hoag. Robert Samuel Hoden. Andrew Rand Hoffman. Madeline Urquhart Hogan. Tony Lee Hooks, Jr. Margaret Cecilia Horvat. Tim Henry Hottermans. Catherine Elizabeth Howard. Shelby Allison Howard. Chloe Marie Hugh. Nathan Vin Huynh. Caleb Scott Ireland. Belize Iteriteka. Jacob Uwowo. Henry Allen Jameson. Madison Ruth Jondro. Sam Jean-Francois. Emma Ann Johnston. Crawford Harrison Jones. Mariam Josula. Muhammad Hamza Kaleem. Amisha Kara. Lee Kane. May Lee Kane. Brittany Karboski. Alexander Ridgely Kelly. Grace Lawrence Kennedy. Ty Cano Kennedy. Frida Gabrielle Kicklighter. Quinn Walken Kislowski. Lindsay Kim. Kathleen King. Alana Kirshner. Jessica Kissy. Hannah Mae Lietzai Kleinbart. Malcolm Macaulay Klingbeil. Zoe Ann Knaus. Alexi Hunter Knight. Evan Orion Cook. Theodore Coedy. Alexander Thomas Kovacs. Leo K. Kupferman. Tori Whitwer Kusakawa. Megan Jolyn Lacey. Elizabeth Grace LaCroix. Michaela Mary Lapointe. Thomas Lara. Dylan Ernst LaRose. Cameron Nicole Lavoie. Daria Isabel Lee. Ava Jinju Lee. Kilston Tanaya Lee. Christina Grace Leonard. Nathaniel Joshua Lewis. Yingbo Lee. Mackenzie Ray Licata. Claire Lim. Gretchen Wood Lindenfeldar. Kona Ray Lindsay. Laura Kathleen Littlefield. Zimu Leo. Brendan Patrick Lau. Brendan McCoy Lovett. Ariella Lowenstein. Evan Alexander Ma. Benjamin Jack McDonald. Rishi Sanjay Madnani. Zoe Sinead McGuire. Christina Maria Maldonado. Sakona Mangane. Alexandra Helena Manning. Ryan Manning. Samuel Stone Marchman. John William Marcolina. Alana Catherine Marjoram. Harper Margaret Marsh. Sophia Christian Martens. Terrence Alexander Martin. Simona Mazzarella. Dylan LaRue McAfee. Angus Ellert McAllister. Trevor Forrest McAuliffe. Daniel Perry McConnell. Maggie E. McCulloch. Maxwell Fernald McCursey. Finley John McLean. Nicholas McMullen. India McNeil. Natalie Rose Meenan. U Me. Gabrielle Sophia Mizell. Antonio Orlando Melgar. Catherine Artemis Marasotis. Alicia Fujen Meshulam. Catherine Bennett Middleton. Abraham Miesis. Maeve Sharon Mikulski. Jared Ramiro Miranda Ogaz. Annika Jean Merchandani. Keon Moalej. Zachary Mogul Campbell. Claire Catherine Maloney Kohlenberg. Charlotte McKenna Morris. Daniel Lee Morrow. Lucy Hoffman Mosley. Pratyusha Mulpur. Emma Rose Murphy. Kevin George Murphy III. Sadie Young Murray. Cassidy Musco. Charles Harrison Nadel. Navar Daniel Namey. Hayano Nakamura. Maggie Grace Nespol. Alexander Thomas Neville. Hadley Jane Nolan. Theodore Fritz Paul Nolan. Catherine Elizabeth North. John Nowak Jr. Lauren Elizabeth Nudie. Richard Langan Newsom III. Jared Kevin O'Hare. Justin Thomas O'Leary. Obey Mohammed Omer. Kemunto Nyaboke Celine Ongera. Luis Angel Orozco. Abigail Miriam Otterbein. Charles Fontaine Pappas. Daisy Elizabeth Parker. Erica Maria Parker. Ezra Parkhill. James Parsons. Elizabeth Wakefield Patrick. Sarah Rose Pearl. Catherine Charlotte Peters. Goose Svens Pettersons. Claudia Tate Helen Petrie. Cody Michael Pfeiffer. Isabella Grace Phillips. Justin Thomas Phillips. Emmy Julia Pike. Cecilia DeAngelis Pilgrim. Esther Marion Pinkate. Owen Alexander Lyon Platt. Callie Elizabeth Polgren. Maxwell Theodore Polich. Carson Baird Pottle. Jacob Christopher Probilski. Anna Maria Dumlau Pua'ala. Zhonghao Qian. Khadija Qureshi. Lauren Alexandria Reed. Martha Alejandra Reyes. Matthew Conroy Reynolds. Jillian Faith Richardson. Emma Rose Ryder. Cameron James Riley. Catherine Rivera. Chloe Robinson. Cade Nathan Rose. Leah Emma Rosen. Ilana S. Rosker. Dennis Paul Rosner. Alexander Donahue Ross. Avra Winchell Ross. Charles Larson Rubin. Luz Rubio Vasquez. John F. Ryan. Katia Elena Ryan. Catherine Ann Sanchez. Adelena Sandoval. Adelene. Omar Sar. Grace Ella Sherwagon. William Knox Schenebeck. Brett Douglas Schmidt. Amy Chung Schwartz. Sophia Catherine Scola. Victoria Theodora Scott. Abigail Merrill Siegel. Linnea Josephine Selendi. Serena Ann Sen. Tyler R. Shamba. Kush Sharma. Alexander Campanilla Sheik. Robert Francis Shields. Blake Shepard. Alexis Renee Sherman. Lucy Sherman. Mia Whalen Schifrin. Carl Ellsworth Short. Annabelle Camille Siegel. Jonathan N. Silver. J. Raj Singh. Gabrielle Sapphire Smart. Mayo Ryan Smith. Nicole Marie Smith. Isabella Andrea Soboleski. Nathan Timothy Summer. Paul Frederick Southern. Colby Zeeland Staken Pickering. Sophia Hannah Stein. Haley Olivia Stevens. Cecily Rose Sterling Mazel. Josephine Buell Stevens. Stella Mae Stone. Megan Ashley Strinar. Gentao Su. Shunsuke Sujimura. William Spencer Orto Simmons. Courtney Marion Talley. Emily Helen Tamkin. Alexander Ryan Tan. Amanda Jane Taylor. Clem Henry Ott Taylor Roth. Aiden Ellis Thorstenston. Eleanor Jean Tierney Fife. Gleb Rostislovovich Kachenko. Oliver Ekstrom Todris. Alexander Togneri Jones. Hugh Richardson Toolman. Taishu Tazawa. Mary Sutton Trafton. Claire Ann Trinity. Keita Biajing Samo. Luke Antonio Urabari. Elliot Claire Vehe. Daphne Moran Vallon. Charles Eve Van Dam. Nicholas Terrell Van Ingen. Sophie Van Leeuwen. Elias Fletcher Veyu. Maya Adele Vernick. Sarah Marta Veskimagi. Jonathan Michael Walker. Wong Sucha. Kyle Samuel Weinman. Ryan Starr Weitzel. Francis White. Olivia Rosina Whitaker. Friedrich Donald Banwart Wilcox. John Kavanaugh Wilkins. Isaac Alexander Peterson Williams. Jackson Bartlett Williams. Kendall Rollins Javon Williams. Jordan Rebecca Wilson. Cameron Paul Winslow. Casey Pong Hong Winter. Eleanor Ruth Wolf. Ella Conger Lyles Walter. Wangzu Wu. Zoe Pearl Wynn. Vangel Jolo. Zay Chen Yang. Da Chuen Yao. Charles Oliver Young. Ilana Sky Zeilinger. Alec Scott Zelbo. Abigail Grace Zerby. John Chi Yuen. Zuochen Zhang. Tuyu Zhang. Yuanrun Zhou. Rebecca Ann Zimmerman. Leah Bondarev Zukoski.
All right, class of 2023, bear with me one more time. I ask you to stand And I would ask the senior marshals to please direct the class to move their tassels from the right to the left, thereby signifying the degree.
Bates College Class of 2023, on behalf of my fellow alumni on the platform, in the audience, and around the globe, I am honored to enthusiastically congratulate you on your momentous accomplishment and welcome you into the Bates College Alumni Association. "30 years ago today, I sat where you are now, eagerly awaiting the next chapter of my life and the future that it holds, but also anxious about leaving this special place that was the center of my universe and home for 4 years. Your 4 years as a student here are coming to an end, but you will be an alum for the rest of your life. You join a community of 24,000 engaged, dynamic, and accomplished Bobcats who embody our motto, ardor and devotion, all over the world. While you've had the unique experience of remote classes, grab-and-go meals from Commons, and a pandemic-disrupted career at Bates, each of us alum have blamed the Maine weather when late to class, lingered in Commons too long with new and old friends, nervously submitted our senior thesis, wondering if more time would have helped, and joyfully, apprehensively sat where you sit today. Bates is a family, and like all families, it comes with privileges and responsibilities. Bates alumni have been key to the strength of our college since its founding, so I greatly encourage you to stay engaged, stay curious, stay connected. Seek the joy in this place and the people and ideas it has introduced you to. Actively search out other alums and connect with those who reach out to you. Your path after Bates may not be linear, but everywhere you turn, you will find a Batesy holding the door for you and supporting you on your journey. Congratulations.
You may be seated. Thank you. Following the benediction, I ask graduates to remain seated and in place until the platform party and the faculty have recessed. The faculty will greet you as you recess. We ask members of the audience to remain in place until the recession is concluded. Following the recession, please join us for lunch in front of Commons and on the Bardwell Field.
So I'll invite us into a closing blessing in our final moment together. And there's some embodied practice I invite you into in whatever posture is most comfortable for you. Holy One, Sacred Many, as we approach the busyness of transition, moving, and saying goodbye, we are grateful for one last moment of slowness, spaciousness, a sacred pause. A moment where we stand in the threshold and look back at all that has formed us and look ahead with wonder to all that awaits. We stand inside this pause in parentheses, a moment between moments. In this space between, I invite you to call to mind each soul who walked this journey with you. Family, mentors, teachers, staff members, friends. And send them gratitude with a gentle smile and a deep breath. In this space between, call to mind each challenge you overcame, when the workload felt impossible, when friendships fractured and you needed to ask for help. And sense your own growth and resilience by opening your hand and taking a deep breath. In this space between, call to mind the beauty and joy you witnessed here. Burnt orange leaves drifting down on your head as you crossed the quad, heartfelt midnight conversations, a class that changed your charted course for life. And hold all the good things you want to carry with you by placing your hand on your heart and taking a deep breath. In this space between, call to mind the mystery of the next moment to come. A tale that is yet to be told, a future with new friends, new spaces, a new experience that will shape who you are and who you become. And know you are not alone. Look into a face near you or the sky and trees above you and take a deep breath. We are all in this threshold moment together for just a few more seconds. The sacred pieces of your life woven around you in the space between you are held. May we honor this final moment with compassion, hope, and joyful expectation. Now, we commence. May it be so. Amen. Congratulations, class of 2023.
I